Scenario 16. Culture. Real Scene 4. Famous beaches of the world. Official nudist beaches are the ones where nudity is compulsory, unless the weather is bad. They are tolerated by the authorities and they tend to be isolated from the non-nude areas to prevent conflicts. Unknown. My goal. After I finish scenario 16, I'll be able to use noun phrases with gerunds, and I learn how to use accomplishments properly. I'll also find some interesting tips about famous beaches of the world.
Introductory questions. Number 1. What are the most famous beaches in the world? Number 2. Would you go to a topless or nudist beach? Number 3. What is the most famous beach in your country?
Introduction. A beach or a strand is a geological formation consisting of loose rock particles such as sand, shingle, cobble, or even shell along the shoreline of a body of water. Components. Some geologists consider a beach to be just a shoreline feature of deposited material, but William Bascom, 1980, has argued that a beach is the entire system of sand set in motion by waves to a depth of 10 meters, 30 plus feet, or more off ocean coasts. Submerged longshore bars are therefore also part of the beach. In the Bascom approach, beaches can be viewed as either small systems in which the rock material moves onshore, offshore, or alongshore by the force of waves and currents, or geological units of considerable size. The former are described in detail below. The larger geological units are discussed elsewhere under bars. Both types can be viewed as beaches. Lanikai Beach on Oahu. This gently sloping beach face is topped by a beach crest, onto which a salt-tolerant grass, Sporobolus virginicus, is spreading from the incipient dune. There are several conspicuous parts to the beach, all of which relate to the processes that form and shape it. The part mostly above water, depending on tide, and more or less actively influenced by the waves at some point in the tide, is termed the beach berm. The berm is the deposit of material comprising the active shoreline. The berm has a crest, top, and a face, the latter being the slope leading down towards the water from the crest. At the very bottom of the face there may be a trough, and further seaward one or more longshore bars, slightly raised, underwater embankments formed where the waves first start to break. The sand deposits may extend well inland from the berm crest, where there may be evidence of one or more older crests, the storm beach, resulting from very large storm waves and beyond the influence of the normal waves. At some point, the influence of the waves, even storm waves, on the material comprising the beach stops. And if the particles are small enough, like sand, winds shape the feature. Where wind is the force distributing the grains inland, the deposit behind the beach becomes a dune. The line between beach and dune is difficult to define in the field. Over any significant period of time, sand is always being exchanged between them. The drift line, the high point of material deposited by waves, is one potential demarcation. This would be the point at which significant wind movement of sand could occur, since the normal waves do not wet the sand beyond this area. However, the drift line is likely to move inland under assault by storm waves. Some beaches are artificial. They are either permanent or temporary. For example, see Monaco, Paris, Rotterdam, Hong Kong and Singapore. There are several beaches which are claimed to be the world's longest, including Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh, 120 kilometers, Fraser Island Beach, 90 Mile Beach in Australia, and 90 Mile Beach in New Zealand, and Long Beach, Washington, which is about 30 kilometres. Wasaga Beach, Ontario on Georgia Bay claims to have the world's longest freshwater beach. The Marina Beach at Chennai, India is the second longest beach in the world.
Beaches and recreation. A beach is a popular form of recreational park. Beaches have long been a popular attraction for tourism and recreation. Especially popular are seaside resorts and large white sand beaches. Of course, residents and tourists alike use beaches as a place for leisure and sport. The relatively soft formation of sand is comfortable to sit or lie on, and entering and exiting the water is far easier across a sand beach than a rocky shore. The waves present to the beaches add to the enjoyment and make the sport of body surfing and related activities possible. One of the many attractions of a sand beach, especially for children, is playing with the sand, building sand castles and other constructs. Towels and mats are typical beach furniture. In the Victorian era, many popular beach resorts were equipped with bathing machines because even the all-covering beachwear of the period was considered immodest. This social standard still prevails in some Muslim countries. At the other extreme are nude beaches, where no swimwear of any kind is compulsory.
Listening. Conversation. Listen and practice.
So how long have you been working in the nudist beach?
For about 5 months.
Do you enjoy it?
Most of the time, the work is very easy.
What's the most challenging thing about working in a nudist beach?
For me, it's finding the way to put up with nasty people that go there sometimes.
And what's the most rewarding thing?
The most rewarding thing about working in a nudist beach is meeting wonderful people all the time.
Grammar Structure 1. Noun phrases with germs. Complex noun phrases in these sentences function as subjects. The most challenging thing about working in a nudist beach is putting up with nasty people. The most rewarding thing about working in a nudist beach is meeting wonderful people all the time. Grammar note. Antonyms. Find 6 pairs of opposites in the list. Relaxation, sadness, joy, anxiety. Praise, relief, stress, criticism. Punishment, reward, failure, success.
Nudist beach. A nudist beach is a beach where the users generally wear no clothing, while a topless beach is one where upper body clothing is not required for women or men, although a swimming suit covering the genitals is required for both men and women. People visit these beaches for many reasons, including the joy of being nude or partially nude, because they enjoy looking at people who are nude, curiosity, personal philosophy, or simply because there is no reason to wear clothing. Sunbathing with little or no clothing allows a more even suntan, eliminating tan lines. Nudist beaches are variously known as FKK, from the German Freikörperkultur, clothing optional CO, or free beaches. They are also described as being au naturel. The word naturale doesn't exist in the French language, and au naturel is used only for food cooked without preparation. In French, nude beaches are called nudist beaches, plage nudistes, or, better, naturalist beaches, plage naturalistes. In UK English, the term topless beach or nudist beach is most common, whereas in American English, nude beach is acceptable. Most existing nudist beaches have been used as such for many years and thus have become traditionally nude. Many are unmanaged beach areas that have been adopted by the local users in an effort to maintain the beach's quality. Others' right to existence has been recognized as such by one or other legislative body, municipal, regional, or national, and are termed official, although not necessarily legitimate. One can distinguish between different types of beaches. Official nudist beaches, ones where nudity is compulsory unless the weather is bad, etc. Ones where clothing is optional. Example, nudity is permitted but not required. Those that are tolerated by the authorities. Those where nudity is illegal and nude people risk a fine or worse. In each case, the nude areas tend to be isolated from the non-nude areas to prevent conflicts. In the United States, the number of traditional nude beaches has declined somewhat over the past decade due to the influx of abusive users, the aging of the nudist community, and the efforts of fundamentalists to close them down. The number of nudist beaches has, in fact, increased in some other places. Most of this increase can be attributed to the ongoing stewardship of local nudist organizations and the establishment of working relationships with, or lobbying of, local municipalities and law enforcement agencies. In fact, naturist attractions are increasingly being recognized as being a good source of tourist income. The users of nude beaches are sometimes the target of enforcement relating to legislation banning public nudity, often because of broad language included in laws or bills intended to target sexually oriented businesses. Nudist organizations, such as the Naturist Action Committee, have lobbied against such bills.
Grammar structure 2. Accomplishments.
In the past, these are expressed with the present perfect or simple past. I've managed to get a good acceptance in my job. I've been able to accomplish some of my goals. In the future, with the future perfect, or would like to have, plus past participle. What do you hope you will have achieved in 5 years? I hope I'll have seen most of the world beaches. I'd like to have made a good start on my career. Writing. Exercise. What are some of your accomplishments from the last 6 years? What do you hope to have accomplished in the next 6 years? Make a list of your accomplishments and discuss them with your agent.
Famous beaches of the world. Acapulco is a city and major seaport in the state of Guerrero on the Pacific coast of Mexico, 300 kilometers or 190 miles southwest of Mexico City, at 16.85 degrees north and 99.92 degrees west. Acapulco is located on a deep semicircular bay, almost landlocked, with easy access and a secure anchorage that vessels can safely lie alongside the rocks that fringe the shore. Many consider it to be one of the best harbors on the Pacific coast of Mexico, and it is a port of call for shipping lines running between Panama and San Francisco, California, USA. In 2003, the estimated population was 638,000 people.
Daytona Beach. The town is built on a narrow strip of low land, scarcely half a mile wide, between the shoreline and the lofty mountains that encircle the bay. There is a great natural beauty in the surroundings, but the mountains render the town difficult to access from the interior, or at least did, until the construction of a 2-kilometer-long tunnel to the waterfront from the hinterland in the 1990s. An earlier effort to admit the cooling sea breezes by cutting a passage through the mountains called the Aura de San Nicolás had some beneficial effect. Daytona Beach is a city located in Volusia County, Florida, USA. As of 2004, the population estimates recorded by the U.S. Census Bureau is 64,422 people. It consists of a mainland and a peninsula separated by the Intracoastal Waterway, locally called the Halifax River. The peninsula comprises the world famous beach along the Atlantic Ocean. In 1927, during the early days of racing on the beach, one of the city's founding fathers created the slogan, "The world's most famous beach." Currently, over 8 million tourists flock to Daytona Beach every year to enjoy the beach and the city's events. Daytona Beach's wide beach and smooth sands have been open to drivers for many years and were also used for the high-speed testing and racing of cars and motorcycles. This made the beach a mecca for racing enthusiasts, and the city is now home to the Daytona International Speedway, a conventional racetrack founded by William France, which replaced the famous beach course in 1959. Close to the Speedway and adjacent to the Daytona Beach International Airport is Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, a world-class university for the training of pilots and aviation professionals. The city is a popular vacation destination, especially for college students on spring break, a special event period. The city is also home to Daytona Beach Community College, Bethune-Cookman College, and Kaiser College. Today, motor vehicle driving and parking is still allowed on certain sections of the beach, which is fully lined with hotels, motels, condominiums, and houses. There is a wide variety of accommodation in all price ranges. Hotel and motel rooms are typically plentiful except during special events, which also include winter speed weeks, summer NASCAR races, Bike Week, Biketoberfest, and Black College Reunion, BCR. During the motorcycle events, Bike Week and Biketoberfest, several 100,000 bikers from all over the world visit the greater Daytona Beach area. Daytona Beach history. Daytona Beach, named for its founder Matthias Day, was incorporated in 1876. The towns of Daytona, originally a separate town, and Seabreeze were merged to form Daytona Beach in 1926. Daytona Beach was the birthplace of musical theatre writer Robert Wright. On March 8, 1936, the first stock car race was held on the beach. The world-famous Daytona International Speedway Complex is now the site of the International Motorsports Hall of Fame and Daytona, USA, a fan attraction. Varadero. Varadero is a popular resort town in Cuba and one of the largest in the Caribbean. It is situated on a peninsula some 140 kilometers east of Havana. The peninsula is only 1.2 kilometers wide at its widest point. It slopes to the northeast, where its tip, Punta Icacos, is the northmost point of Cuba. Varadero is first and foremost a tourist resort and boasts more than 20 kilometers of white sandy beaches. Tourism grew as Irénée Dupont-Nemours, an American millionaire in the early 30s, built her estate on the peninsula. Varadero today is primarily visited by European and Canadian tourists, but also the number of American tourists is picking up. Varadero has the most important airport of the island after Havana. South Beach. South Beach, or the beach as known to its locals, is a section of Miami Beach, Florida, that encompasses the lower 23 blocks of the island from the point south of 1st Street to 23rd Street. This area was the first section of Miami Beach to be developed starting in the 1910s, thanks to development efforts by Carl Fisher, the Loomis brothers, John Collins, and others. This area has gone through numerous changes over the years, some man-made and some due to the forces of nature, like the hurricane of 1926 that destroyed much of the area. South Beach started as farmland. In 1870, Henry and Charles Lum purchased 165 acres, 668,000 square meters, for coconut farming. Charles Lum built the first house on the beach in 1886. In 1894, the Lum brothers left the island, leaving control of the plantation to John Collins, who came to South Beach 2 years later to survey his land. He used the land for farming purposes, discovering fresh water and extending his parcel from 14th Street to 67th in 1907. In 1906, South Beach's first bar, Max Club Juice, which still exists today, opened its door on 14th Street. In 1912, Miami businessmen, the Loomis brothers, acquired 400 acres, 1.6 square kilometers, of Collins property in an effort to build an oceanfront city of modern single-family residences. Carl Fisher, a successful entrepreneur who made millions in 1909 after selling a business to Union Carbide, came to the beach in 1930. His vision was to establish South Beach as a successful city independent of Miami. This was the same year that the famous restaurant Joe's Stone Crab opened. On March 26, 1915, Collins, Loomis, and Fisher consolidated their efforts and incorporated the town of Miami Beach. South Beach was born. In 1918, the MacArthur Causeway was completed. The Loomis brothers sold their oceanfront property to the city from 6th Street to 14th, which was then and is now the area known as Loomis Park. In 1920, the Miami Beach land boom began. South Beach's main streets, 5th Street, Alton Road, Collins Avenue, Washington Avenue, and Ocean Drive were all suitable for automobile traffic. The population was growing in the 20s, and several millionaires such as Harvey Firestone, J.C. Penney, Harvey Stutz, Albert Champion, Frank Seiberling, and Rockwell Lagos built homes on Miami Beach. President Warren G. Harding stayed at the Flamingo Hotel during this time, stirring up interest in the area. In the 1930s, an architectural revolution came to South Beach, bringing Art Deco streamlined modern and nautical modern architecture to the beach. To this day, South Beach remains the world's largest collection of streamlined modern Art Deco architecture. Napier, New Zealand, another notable Art Deco city, makes an interesting comparison with Miami Beach, as it was built in the ziggurat Art Deco style after being destroyed by an earthquake in 1931. In 1940, the beach had a population of 28,000. After the December 7, 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor, the Army Air Corps took command of Miami Beach. In 1966, South Beach became even more famous when Jackie Gleason brought his weekly variety series to the area for taping, a rarity in the industry. Beginning in the late 70s through the 80s, South Beach was used as a retirement community, and most of its oceanfront hotels and apartment buildings filled with elderly people living on small, fixed incomes. This period also saw the introduction of the cocaine cowboys, drug dealers who used the area as a base for their illicit drug activities. The TV show Miami Vice used South Beach as a backdrop for much of its filming due to the area's raw and unique visual beauty. While many of the unique Art Deco buildings, such as the New Yorker Hotel, were lost to developers in the years before 1980, the area was saved as a cohesive unit by Barbara Capitman and a group of activists who spearheaded the movement to place South Beach on the National Register of Historic Places. In the late 1980s, a renaissance began in South Beach with an influx of the fashion industry moving into the area. Most major modeling agencies had offices in South Beach, and fashion photographers used the area as a backdrop for their photo shoots. Today, the South Beach section of Miami Beach is a major entertainment destination with hundreds of nightclubs, restaurants, and oceanfront hotels. The area is popular with international tourists as well, with German being the third most spoken language after English and Spanish. The large number of European tourists is one reason South Beach is one of the few public beaches in the United States where topless sunbathing is common.
Writing. Question. Questions for discussion. What is the geological definition of beach? Which beach is considered the longest freshwater beach in the world? Briefly describe Acapulco. How do you get to town? What is Daytona Beach famous for? Name some of the most important events held during the year. How was the development of South Beach? What use did the first settlers give to the land of South Beach? What are some of the most remarkable architectural styles of South Beach? What do you know about the Art Deco style?
Grammar Structure 3. Used to, would. We say used to talk about something that was true in the past, but is not true now. There used to be a park here, but now there's a shopping center. My grandmother used to have beautiful blonde hair, but now her hair is gray. You can say used to talk about things that were true for a long period of time, or repeated actions that happened several times. I used to live in Denver. True for a long period of time. I used to go to the park every Friday. A repeated action. Write adverbs before used to. I always used to cycle to school. I never used to eat vegetables. You can use would in a similar way to used to. It describes things that were true in the past, but are not true now. When I was a child, my dad would read to me every night. Would cannot be used to talk about states. It can only be used to talk about repeated actions. There used to be a park here, not there would be a park here. Write adverbs after would. I would always talk to my grandma when I had a problem.
Beaches in the world you should visit. The perfect combination of surf, sun, and sand. These beaches are the best our planet has to offer. Each beach has been carefully selected for National Geographic's book, The 10 Best of Everything. Without further ado, here are the best beaches on Earth. Seychelles. One of the most photographed beaches in the world. The pale pink sands of Annecy-Sault-d'Argent unfurls across the island of Lanikai, one of the 115 components of the archipelago in the Indian Ocean. The sands sparkle against a backdrop of towering granite boulders, worn by time and weather. The turquoise water is relatively shallow and protected from the ocean's waves by a reef. Maldives. Whether your dream beach trip consists of spending a few pampered nights in a 4-star resort or swimming among tropical fish some 80 feet or 24 meters underwater, the Maldives are the sort of islands where either, or both, can come true. Straddling the equator southwest of Sri Lanka, the 1,102 islands that make up the Maldives from 26 atolls. The soft air enveloping the archipelago blends into a beautiful palm-fringed haze.
Bora Bora, Tahiti. This is one of the magical islands that make up French Polynesia in the South Pacific. Just 18 miles, 29 kilometers long, this lush little slip of land lies in a protected lagoon edged by white sandy shores, the best being at Matira Point. Bora Bora boasts the nickname the Romantic Island, a moniker easy to appreciate with its isolated beaches, intimate hotels, and quiet atmosphere. The Hamptons, New York. One of the hip spots for the air-kissing, well-heeled set, the Hamptons boast some of the prettiest beaches on Long Island. The unspoiled shoreline begins around Southampton and runs east to the end of the island at Montauk. Windswept dunes and waving grasses border the Atlantic Ocean.
Lanikai Beach, Hawaii. Half a mile of sparkling sand, palm trees swaying over a white beach, lush tropical plants, and endless sunshine make Lanikai one of Hawaii's most scenic beaches. The shore is protected by a nearby coral reef, which keeps the surf relatively calm. The water is always deep green and postcard perfect. Research spot. Look for more information about 1. Famous beaches in your country. 2. Water sports.